Hello, everybody. How's it going? Just double checking my inputs now to make sure y'all can hear me this time. So, you'll never believe what I did. I recorded this yesterday with my audio off the entire time. So, I apologize for that. I apologize for getting this to you late, but I'm just going to re-record it so I can get it out to all of you who registered. My sincerest apologies. So let's jump in. Day 3. Let's do this. I'm going to try and keep this down to a half an hour so we maximize your time efficiency, because that's what we're talking about here, you guys. That's what we want. We want to get you as empowered and time efficient as possible. So, without further ado, my name is Angela Kelly Robeck. I'm a certified life coach for school leaders. I'm a former educator. I've been in the industry for over 25 years, teacher, instructional coach. I was a reading specialist. I was a school principal at two different elementary schools, and went up to district office to be the RTI coordinator for the district before starting this business, which is life coaching and professional development for school leaders. So I help you navigate the demands of the job, not just from the aspect of your skill set, but also from the mental and emotional well-being standpoint. So I love what I do, and I'm happy to be here on day 3 of the training. So how the calls will go: I'm going to teach for a few minutes. I'm going to try to keep this down to 30 minutes. Feel free to ask me any questions that you have. If you are watching the recording of this, you can always reach out and ask me questions at angelakellycoaching.com. Or you can find me on Facebook. Join the Empowered Principal Facebook group, by the way. That's where you can get your questions answered in real time. That would be the best way. Or you can just contact me directly and set up a consult. No problem. I'm going to open it up to coaching. Now, obviously, I'm recording this for the second time, so this isn't a live training. This is going to be the recorded training. So I won't be opening up the end of the call for coaching this time. And then finally, I just want you to come and get what you came for. You're here to become more empowered. You're here to feel better about your job, to feel more confidence, to feel more certainty, to reduce your overwhelm, to reduce overworking so much. And I want you to come and get what you came for. So the way to get what you came for, I want you to capture your thinking. As you're watching this video, please write down. You can pause it, write down your thoughts, process what you're thinking about, what ideas are coming up for you, and share these concepts with yourself. I want you to not just take what I say, but I want you to actually develop your own thoughts around your specific situation. Okay. Step 2, give yourself some time to self coach. And what I mean by that is just take a moment to ponder and process everything we're covering. So after you've watched the video, I want you to think more deeply about how it applies to you, what's coming up for you, what emotions are coming up for you, what thoughts you're having, and just jot it all down on a piece of paper or in a journal. While you're listening to day 3's training, I want you to come with the mindset that I have everything I need to be a school leader. This training is exactly what I need to hear. This is exactly what I need to learn. Intentionally decide to believe that, and then look for evidence to prove that true. Write down things that are applicable to you. See how what I'm talking about applies to your situation. And then decide that becoming an empowered leader is a non-negotiable. It's an absolute necessary part of who you want to become as a leader. You're stepping into this role. You want to evolve yourself. You want to evolve your school and your staff members and your team and your students and families, community, all of that. So you learning how to be the best version of yourself as a leader is non-negotiable. It's just who you want to become and who you are becoming right now in this moment by watching this video. And finally, let's have some fun. Let's not be so drab. Everything doesn't have to be so serious, right? Okay, on with the show. So, day 1, we talked about alignment. The reason you feel a lot of overwhelm or confusion or you feel conflicted is that you haven't slowed your brain down enough to think about what your values are and aligning to those values. So you have to slow yourself down and ask yourself the question, what do I believe? What do I value? What's important to me? What do I want to be as a leader? Where am I at and where do I want to be? You need to answer those questions. Otherwise, you're just kind of shooting off at the hip, right? As they say. So you need to get in clear alignment and understand that there will be times that you have some cognitive dissonance or some like two different opposing thoughts or beliefs or values. That's okay, because in step 2, what you're going to do is you're going to look at your list of values and beliefs and your vision for yourself, and then you're going to make some decisions. You're going to decide and prioritize your values. That doesn't mean you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. It just means for a goal that you want to achieve or a feeling you want to feel or like an outcome you want to create, you're just going to decide which of your values is going to get you to that goal the fastest. And so you will prioritize your values based on what values are going to get you to that goal. Sometimes the value is putting in extra work. Sometimes it's taking time off and taking good care of yourself. Those values, the priorities will change based on the goal you're trying to achieve. So, step 1 is align, step 2 is decide and prioritize. And today we're going to talk about step 3. Step 3 is simply honor. Now it's time to honor your values and your decisions. So you've aligned your values, you've made some decisions, you've prioritized your values, and now it's time to decide and commit and honor those values. Now, this sounds very simple. It sounds like something that would be quite easy to do. You should be able just to like follow the rule book and to put it into practice. That's not what happens. Putting this into practice consistently and regularly is the challenge. And that's because we have human brains, right? What will happen is you're going to not always honor it, and you're not going to understand why you don't honor your decisions. What does it mean to honor? And what I mean by honoring your decisions simply means doing what you say you're going to do. So there's a difference between creating a great big to-do list and then actually calendaring your tasks. So once you've aligned your values, you've made some decisions about what you want, where you're at, where you want to be, what values are going to get you there. You've prioritized. Now it's time to create an agenda for yourself that gets you to the results that you want. Now, most of us create a great big where we get all energized and we're excited for the day. We're like, okay, I want to get this, this, and this, and this, and this done. So you write a list and it's like, oh, wait, I don't want to forget this and this. So then you add more to the list. And then you remember some personal things that you've got to get done. Take the kids to the dentist, pick up the dry cleaning, make sure you get your doctor's appointment scheduled, whatever it is, get your taxes done, right? Your brain's going to go professional list. Oh, wait, personal list. Oh, wait, there's a couple more things professional. And it tacks on task after task after task to your to-do list. Most of us are like, oh, okay. And then your brain kind of winds down. It's like, well, that's about all I can think of right now. That's where we usually stop. We have the to-do list. We're like, oh gosh, that's a lot. Then some of us just stop right there. We're like, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do, right? The to-do list is overwhelming. Absolutely. But there is a part to be played for the to-do list, but we can't stop there. We can't just create a to-do list and then expect ourselves to navigate that to-do list and get everything done on the list. So what I'm proposing is that you use this to-do list as part of your process for calendaring, right? So what the to-do list looks like and why it's a problem is that it's not very intentional. It's just kind of a brain dump. You're just dumping all of your ideas and thoughts and things you have to do onto a piece of paper. There's nothing wrong with that actual part of the process, except unless that's where you stay, right? If you stay there, that's part of the problem. Now, one of the problems with the to-do list is that it's never ending. It goes on and on and on, and day after day, you either add to the list or you transfer it over to the next day, which then more things get added. There's never there's never a completion. It's always an open cycle. It's an open loop running in the background, which is why you're always feeling anxious. You're not setting yourself up for success when you just create a big to-do list that's ongoing. The other thing that's wrong, or like that's less effective about a to-do list, is that it's urgency based. So basically what happens is we have a bunch of things on our list, but when we go into work, somebody wants to meet with you, a child has an issue you need to contend with, a teacher has a question, a parent wants a meeting, you have to go to the district office, you need to get your newsletter done. We end up being very reactive with our time and with our schedule because we are focused on the urgencies of the day. We're putting out the fires, we're playing the whack-a-mole, and that to-do list is sitting there not really getting done because we come in and we haven't really been intentional about our time. So it's kind of, okay, well, whatever comes my way, I'm going to handle, and that's how I'm going to spend my day. That's another problem with the to-do list. The to-do list, at least for me, another problem with it, it's very deceiving. It feels really good to make the list. So I like to make my list the night before. Sometimes I'll do it in the morning, but I prefer to do it at night so my brain can rest assured in the night that I've got my list ready to go. But what happens is it feels really good at the time to write that list down. It's like, oh, I've got all my things ready to go. I know exactly what I'm going to do tomorrow. But when it's just in a big list like that, it's in a big lump, it is very deceiving because your brain, once it gets it all out into the paper, it thinks to itself, wow, good for me. I'm going to get all this stuff done tomorrow. It's very deceiving because it feels like because you've written it down that it's as good as done. So you almost like trick yourself into thinking you're going to be able to get all of these things done when in reality you won't. So it's very deceiving in what you can actually accomplish and what you get to do for that day and that week and that month, right? And the other thing about the list, everything feels so equal. When you look at it, there's just a list. There's no priority, there's no values base, there's nothing to tell you what's more important than the other. So what ends up happening, the brain's like, "Oh, that's really easy. That'll be quick. This is really fun. Ooh, I want to get that done. That's appealing. This feels good." Or I know I can get that done, no problem. That one's going to be simple. We go to the things that feel the easiest, that are the fastest, the quickest, the easiest, the things we know how to do. And what ends up happening is those fun things, yeah, they get checked off. And then we get the dopamine hit of checking off our list. And then what's left on the list, it's like, ugh, it's all the things we didn't really want to do, the things that feel hard, the things that feel challenging, the things that take a lot of time or require, brain power and focus and energy. And if there's not anything guiding that, what ends up happening is those things just keep going down to the bottom of the list and they don't really ever get done, even though you value them or you think that they're important, right? So, what to do about that? Calendaring, on the other hand, is the act of taking that to-do list and then actually putting it onto your calendar. It's looking at the list and saying, like, what is the most important thing to me? Why is it important to me? How much time do I want to assign to that? What's the duration of time I want to give to that? So, calendaring is the act of intentionally and creating, intentionally and consciously creating your schedule and managing your time. It's being very specific and selecting certain tasks while saying no to other tasks. It's being very proactive in the sense that it's vision based and it's very values based and it's focused. You're intentionally and consciously choosing and deciding what things you're going to do, why you want to do them, and why they're valuable, why they're important. And then you're assigning them time, which gives them more importance. It holds gravity for them, right? It also makes it much more realistic because you start to see what is taking your time, what you want to be taking your time, and how realistic you can be with your time. Like some things on the list need to get done and you want them to get done. They feel in alignment. You add them to the calendar. Other things are, nice to do or would be fun to have, or they need to get done, but you don't feel like doing them. So you get very realistic about how much time that you have to be able to complete those tasks. And you'll start to see very quickly what gets prioritized, right? So that's the nice thing about calendaring. It actually is a system to help you prioritize, and you want to prioritize based on your values that you've decided. All right. So when you calendar, you assign value to those tasks. That's how you connect. You connect the dots, right? You have your values, and then you make some decisions, and then you have your to-do list, and you're going to look at that to-do list and you're going to be, "Oh, okay, now I have to actually assign them time." Time is an asset that you have. It's very valuable. When you give something your time, it creates value for that task or for that project or for that meeting. So, what you want to do is when you calendar, you want to make sure that those tasks align to your beliefs and values, because then they'll be so much easier to do. It doesn't take it it doesn't, like, calendaring doesn't value all the tasks the same, because you have to see like what fits into your calendar. So when you have those items, you're actually prioritizing and weeding out the things you don't value as much, or the things that aren't the priority this week. And putting it on the calendar lets you separate what you value versus what you don't, and that by doing so, it just impacts and adds value by giving it your time. This creates a whole prioritization process, and it helps you stay in alignment and focused on the results you want to create for yourself as a leader, and for yourself professionally, for yourself at home, all the things, right? Now, this sounds very simple. It's like, here's my to-do list. I'm going to prioritize it, put it on my calendar, done. In the beginning, and even now that I've been practicing this for several months, it still feels hard at times. And this is why. When you go through this process, it requires you to let go of the belief that you should be doing everything and you should be the one to get to it and you have to get everything done. You have to let go of that belief system. That's hard to do. We want to, as leaders, believe that it's our job, our responsibility. We should be doing it all. We should be getting to everything and giving all of our time to that belief. This process actually asks you to constrain, to put your top priorities in the limelight, give them the time and attention, and let go of the rest. Letting go is hard. We have emotional drama about letting things go because we want to do all of them. That is why it's hard. You are going to have an emotional reaction to not doing all the things, to feeling, you're going to feel less sufficiency. You're going to feel inefficient. You're going to feel less effective. You're going to feel like you're not doing enough. You're going to have a lot of thoughts and emotions that come up for you when you have to prioritize and let things go. That's why it's hard. You're going to want to give in to the urge to avoid the things you don't want to do, right? So you will have an urge to avoid doing hard things. It's going to come up on your calendar at 10 o'clock, and you're going to be like, I don't really want to do that right now. I think I'm going to do this instead. I'll get to that later, because you think that later it's going to feel better. You will want to give into that urge to avoid hard tasks. Anything that feels boring or hard or taxing or challenging, or it's difficult, or it's just yucky, you just don't like it, you're like, blah. You're going to want to give in and just avoid it. That's going to happen. You're also going to want to give in to the opposite urge, which is to go and do the fun tasks, like get pulled into the fun ones and the easy ones. It's like something will pop up. You're like, oh gosh, that's really important. I need to do that, right? No, really what you're doing is that is easier. That feels more fun. That's more appealing. That's something I know how to do already. I don't have to learn. So you're going to have the urge to avoid and the urge to do the tasks that are fun and easy. So this is why honoring, while it's simple, is actually the hardest part. I want to offer you a thought that might rattle your brain up a little bit and make you ponder and think. This is one of these thoughts where I want you to really think about it. Pause the tape, or at the end of the video, I want you to think about the truth of this sentence. Nothing we do is hard. Nothing that we ever do, no action in and of itself is actually hard. We tell ourselves that. because of the emotions we feel when we're doing that task. So, for example, at the beginning of my business, I had to learn a lot of technology. That was not my wheelhouse. It was not my favorite thing. I had a lot of brain resistance to learning the technology. And I know many of your teachers, and maybe some of you, were going through this last March and last April, and last spring when we had to close schools down. You had to shift the way that you taught completely, and it felt very hard. The sentence, "This is so hard," creates a lot of negative emotion in your body. But what if it were true that nothing we do is hard? What's actually hard is to let ourselves feel that emotion that comes with, learning something new, that comes with something we've never done before, that comes with things we don't like to do, that comes with the perseverance of sticking to it and grit, all the things we want our kids to have, right? That grit, that emotional resiliency, that mental resiliency, the stamina to stick with a new project, something that feels hard. That's the work. That's what is hard. It's that emotional processing that goes on when we're calendaring something, and we have to honor our calendar. We have to say no to things that aren't on our value list, that aren't in our priorities. We have to say yes to the things that are. Saying no and saying yes. The feelings that come with those two answers, that's the hard part. Okay. So, why would I go through all this pain? Why honor my calendar? Why should I go through the pain and suffering of avoiding things I love to do and not doing and having to do things I don't love to do? Why do this? Because of what happens on the other side, because of who you become as a leader. You are in a leadership position. You have stepped into this role to evolve yourself. You cannot evolve your school if you don't evolve who you are as a leader. So the capacity to which you can evolve yourself as a leader is the capacity to which you evolve your school, evolve your students and your staff. Your impact, your legacy, your influence, your sphere of influence can only grow as much as you grow yourself. This is why you honor your calendar. It builds trust in yourself. You learn to have your own back. You learn to trust that what you say is your value, what you say is your priority, is what you're going to do. You have integrity. You honor yourself. It creates a sense of trust that you have your own back. You are reliable. You are knowledgeable. You have what it takes. You're willing to do the work. And when you schedule your calendar in a way that's aligned to your values, you actually get to do what you value, right? Before, we're just reacting. We're just trying to figure it out and we're doing whatever comes our way versus I'm intentionally planning my time, I'm scheduling my time, and I'm putting the things that I value onto my calendar. So I know from 10 to 12, I'll be in classrooms and I'll be interacting with kids and teachers, and I will be being that instructional leader that I want to be. If a meeting comes up, I'm going to ask my secretary to schedule it outside of those 2 hours. You get to do what you value. You honor your calendar because it creates so much more control in your life and in your work. It feels better to know that you've planned out your week, to know what's on your calendar, to be in control of that. It feels better. I know all of us as leaders, we love that sense of control, and not in a controlling way with others, but that we have a sense of stability and security and a certainty about our day, that we know what we're doing, we know why we're doing it, we value it, when we love it, quite frankly, even when it's hard, right? Because we know the bigger picture is, I don't know how to do this technology right now, but the reason I'm doing it is for my kids. And because I can't control the pandemic, what I can control is the way that I show up on technology. And by gosh, I'm going to learn this for my kids, and I'm going to feel so much better and so proud of myself for having done it. You get ownership of your outcomes. Honoring your calendar, the more you can honor the calendar, the more ownership you have of the outcomes that you create. When you're willing to stick to what you said you were going to do and follow through, even when you forget to turn on your mic, even when people probably showed up to the training last night and couldn't hear me and then logged out, even though I didn't have any idea that you couldn't hear until the very end when I was uploading the video. I'm willing to come back and do it again. I have total ownership of my actions, my thoughts about them, my feelings about them, the actions that I'm taking, and then the outcomes that I'm creating. You do the same when you honor your calendar. And the best part about this is that what it does is you now know how to create and establish new habits of thinking, new belief patterns, new belief systems, new emotions that you get to feel, new ways of showing up, new ways of approaching your job, approaching your life. You get to establish new habits that create the life that you want and the career that you want and the leadership style and lifestyle that you want. So, what's going to happen when you start to do this? There's going to be a lot of resistance. You're not going to want to do what you've agreed to do on your calendar. Okay. You're going to get to that moment and you're going to feel a tantrum come on. I call it emotional childhood, right? Like we go into this tantrum state where we're like, nah, I don't feel like doing that. I don't want to do that. That's boring. Oh, why do I have to? Mom, don't make me, right? But no, you're going to go into your prefrontal cortex and you're going to say, hello, we designed this calendar ourselves. This is created on our values. The reason we're doing this task is so that we can create this outcome. I want to have my own back and I want to believe in myself. I'm going to do this, right? But you are going to feel the resistance. And guess what else happens? As when you see things in your resistance, your brain is going to get very clever with you and it's going to come up with some really clever reasons as to why you shouldn't honor that calendar, why there is something more important, why that person who came in the door to ask for your time and attention does deserve it over your calendar. You're going to find sneaky ways that your brain is trying to self-sabotage you. So just plan and prepare to feel resistance, to feel that tantrum, to feel the self-sabotage, to notice the thoughts that are coming up for you when your brain is trying to get you out of doing something it doesn't want to do that feels uncomfortable. And then you are going to experience failure. So failure is going to happen. You are at times going to give into those urges. You're going to give into those reasons, and you're going to do something off your calendar, or you're going to go way off task, right? You're going to like kind of slip into this like numb, like confusion and overwhelm where you just kind of drowned out and you just let the day happen to you and you react to it. It's going to happen. It's okay. It doesn't mean you don't get back up and try honoring the calendar again, but just know that those things are going to happen: resistance, self sabotage, and failure. But what will also happen, and this is the good news, you'll also get better and better at creating more effectiveness for yourself. So the more often you honor your calendar, you get better and better each time at creating time versus managing time or reacting to time. You want to get highly effective and believing, like building up your belief that you, in fact, are a time creator. You're not a time manager, you're a time creator. And the more often you honor your calendar, the better and better you get at honoring the calendar, which makes it easier. And what this does is it builds up your empowerment. You're going to start to build trust in yourself. You're going to know you have your own back. You're going to be really proud of yourself. You're going to know that you honor your word. You're in integrity and in alignment, which feels very empowering. It feels really good to know I've got my back. Like, I'm not going to flake on myself. I'm going to treat myself like my best friend or the CEO or the superintendent, the boss of you. Whoever is the boss of you, treat yourself as you treat that person, and notice how you start to shift in your empowerment. And finally, you create success. So when you're effective and you're honoring your calendar and you're willing to fail and try it again, you're going to have success, which starts to build and establish new habits and patterns. You're going to feel more in control of your time. You're going to believe that you have control over your time. You're going to feel super aligned, and the actions on your calendar are going to match what you want to create in terms of your vision for yourself as a leader. And you will believe that you actually have the ownership of your outcomes. It's a beautiful thing. So I want to leave you with this. When you create a calendar assigned to your values and you go through the process of aligning to your values, deciding, prioritizing, and then honoring, the more things on your calendar that are actually aligned to your values, the easier it is to honor your calendar. Why is that? Because you're loving what you're doing and you see the connection between your values, your belief systems, your priorities, and the outcomes you want to create. This is the bridge between where you're at and where you want to be. I hope this has been powerful and helpful. Tomorrow, day 4, I'm doing live coaching. I'm going to just recap everything, pull it all together, and then we're going to do some live coaching. You need to be live on tomorrow's call. I'm going to send this out to you right now today. I'm going to emphasize that you be here live because this is where the magic happens. Being live on the call means you have a high chance of getting called to be coached. We can get you through any obstacle, any objection that your brain is throwing at you and get you on the path to empowerment. Have an amazing day, and I'm going to see you guys tomorrow for the last training. All right. Talk to you guys then. Take care.